Aren't we all just about done with the rumors and trade sagas of the offseason? Are you also waiting for the season to begin so that we can have some clarity about who is playing for which side? Yeah, it doesn't matter, because there's still well over a month of news left, and we'd wager a couple of big moves to take place as well. Today, let's take a look at the Donovan Mitchell situation. First up, Jazz want RJ Barret for Donovan Mitchell. We all know by now that the frontrunners for signing Kevin Durant are the Boston Celtics. The franchises leading the chase for Donovan Mitchell are the New York Knicks. The Knicks' admiration of Mitchell is one of the sport's worst-kept secrets. In fact, a recent poll by ESPN insiders indicated that nearly 80% of them think that Mitchell will be starting his 2022-23 season in New York. However, for that move to happen, Utah Jazz will want something extraordinary in return. They got a huge package from the Minnesota Timberwolves when they traded for Rudy Gobert, and the Jazz values Mitchell higher than Gobert. The only problem has been whether the Knicks can come up with the compensation wanted by the Utah franchise. As per Stephen A. Smith, the Utah franchise wants RJ Barret in any potential trade for Mitchell. This is a huge development in the deal. Most people believed that Julius Randle could have been the player that the Jazz were after along with the first-round picks, but so far that hasn't worked out. If Smith's sources are to be believed, then it seems the Jazz now have a clearer idea as to who they want for Mitchell, and that should make proceedings fairly straightforward. Getting Mitchell was never going to be cheap, so this development shouldn't be surprising for the Knicks. Next, what do the Jazz want for Mitchell? This rumor of Jazz wanting Barret over Randle came from Smith, so it's not a surprise that he was asked in more detail as to what the Utah franchise really wants in order to part ways with their superstar, Donovan Mitchell. Again, we'd suggest taking this news with a grain of salt, but as per Stephen A. Smith, the Utah side wants RJ Barret and 6 first-round picks in order to trade Donovan Mitchell. Now that might seem excessive, but they got a similar package when they traded Rudy Gobert. They got enough depth, but now they're looking for the picks to get their rebuild underway in the coming years. For that to happen, the Knicks have many first-round picks, and the Jazz have their eyes on those picks, along with a move for RJ Barret, who they think can improve the team in the short term as well. Now it's up to the Knicks to decide whether they want to offload RJ Barret instead of Randle. Barrett's a younger option compared to Randle, and it's obvious why the Utah side wants to trade for him. They're looking to build a younger core, and Barrett's talent of scoring and rebounding consistently is something that would improve the Jazz, not only in the short term, but the long term too. Is Mitchell worth sacrificing the future? The Knicks will have to decide that. On the other hand, Julius Randle could stay in New York. For an outsider looking in, it made a lot of sense for the Knicks and the Jazz to get involved in a deal that would include Julius Randle and Donovan Mitchell. As we talked about it before, Mitchell and the Knicks have been flirting for such a long time, while Randle is someone with a lot of potential, and a change in scenery could help in restarting his career. Randle's fallen out of favor in New York as he got booed by the fans multiple times during last season, and he ended up giving them the thumbs down. In fact, the pressure got to him, and he told the crowd to settle down, and his response to the criticism from fans hasn't been good. His body language seems poor, the attention to detail has been limited, and it seems that his time with the Knicks has definitely come to an end. Randle's frustrated with the situation, and the fans aren't willing to wait for him to come around. We can understand the fans' frustration. They expected him to produce a similar level of performance that he did when he took the Knicks to the playoffs in 2021. On the other hand, Randle expected more from the fans, considering they'd just seen how good he can be, that they'd stand by him no matter what, but the impatience created problems for both sides. Usually in these situations, it's perfect for a player to secure a move away from the franchise, but with the Jazz wanting RJ Barret instead, Randle might end up staying with the Knicks. And a fractured relationship can be repaired. There's no doubt that the relationship between the Knicks fans and Julius Randle is fractured, but it's definitely not broken. It's not beyond salvageable, and that's something the Knicks need to keep in mind. Maybe the Jazz passing up the opportunity of getting Randle could be a blessing in disguise for the New York franchise, and they should try their level best to make sure that this is the case. This year, after the kind of offseason the Knicks have had, there will be less pressure on Randle. He did help the Knicks to their first playoff season in 8 years with ample support on hand. There's no reason he can't replicate the kind of success he had in 2021. The addition of Jalen Brunson and possibly Donovan Mitchell would mean that the Knicks truly have the star that they were after, but could also mean that one of their current players, Randle, could experience a baptism of stardom. We just think that one season is not enough to quit on someone like Randle. He needs the support from the front office and the fans if he sticks around and finds his old form. There's no reason why the Knicks can't make it to the playoffs again. In other news, starting with the Knicks' reported offer for Mitchell, Shams Charania revealed a few days back that the negotiations between the Knicks and the Jazz regarding Mitchell were taking place once again. Since then, Charania revealed another juicy update on the Knicks' pursuit of Mitchell, and we think that Danny Ainge might really be greedy. As per Charania, the Knicks offered a package that involved a total of 5 draft picks, along with salary and Evan Fournier and Obi Toppin for Donovan Mitchell. But Utah's front office, led by Ainge, rejected the offer offer, saying that they want more. Of course, as we've already mentioned, Utah is holding out for RJ Barret, and this report from Sharania pretty much confirms that report too. Utah, just like the Nets, is in a fantastic position regarding its star players. They've got big contracts with Mitchell's running into the 2025-26 season, so they can easily hold out for as much as they want, without being forced into a possible deal. The Knicks, though, would need to make their decision quickly because the Hornets and the Wizards are also circling around Mitchell. Moving on to the Derrick Rose situation. The Knicks remain desperate to keep Derrick Rose on board for another year, but an anonymous Eastern Conference executive has revealed that he could be subject to a number of bidders if the Knicks used him as a bargaining chip. Rose's struggles with injuries aren't a secret, but he's managed to find an NBA role for himself, and that makes him a prime trade target. As per the exec, 29 teams would be willing to take him, and that Rose is the Knicks' best trade piece. That might be slightly exaggerated, but we can see what he means by that. In fact, if the Knicks play their cards smartly, they could get Donovan Mitchell in, and along with Rose, Randle, and possibly even Barrett, they could be the team to beat in the upcoming season. Rose, though, will be turning 34 in October, and he's been a constant presence off the bench for New York. He's a fantastic three-point shooter, and he brings a lot of energy to the side. The Knicks should do everything to keep him. Lastly, Obi dropping out of favor. That play on words was something that we were itching to do, but it's still true. The Knicks enjoyed a fantastic offseason, and they could add to their roster with Donovan Mitchell strongly linked. That means Obi Toppin has fallen down the pecking order and could struggle to get minutes in the upcoming season. This is something that the Knicks front office has already thought about, and that was primarily why he was part of the package offered to the Jazz for the Mitchell trade. In fact, The Athletic's Fred Katz believes that Toppin wouldn't get any minutes for the Knicks, and it's in the best interest of his career to find a move away from New York. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think the Knicks should let go of a talent like RJ Barret and so many first-round picks for Donovan Mitchell? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.